Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's edition of From the Boardroom to the Locker Room. And let's start with football. The FA Cup this weekend, and they're turning out to be the penalty kings, aren't they? Nottingham Forest have reached the FA Cup semi-finals for the first time in 34 years. That is as Belgian keeper Matzel starred in their 4-3 penalty shootout win over Brighton and Hove Albion at the weekend. After the quarter-final clash at the Amex Stadium finished goalless following extra time, he took centre stage as the goalkeeper to send Nottingham Forest to Wembley. He saved spot kicks from Jack Hinselswood and Diego Gomez, and although Forest's Neco Williams blazed over the bar, Ryan Yates held his nerve to stroke home the winner. Forest also needed shootouts to get past third-tier Exeter and top-flight strugglers Ipswich in the 4th and 5th rounds respectively this season. Nuno Espirito Santos' side are enjoying a remarkable season that could culminate in Champions League qualifications and a first FA Cup final appearance since 1991. Forest, who last won the FA Cup in 1959, reaching distance of appearing in the Champions League for the first time since 1980-81. They're 5 points clear of 4th place Chelsea and 6 ahead of 5th place Manchester City with 9 games to go. Brian Clough's side were the last Forest team to make the FA Cup semi-finals, beating West Ham before losing the final to Tottenham. Forest joined Crystal Palace in the last 4 after the Eagles won 3-0 at Fulham in Saturday's other quarter-final. Yesterday, Manchester City travelled to Bournemouth and Aston Villa visited Championship side Preston. Forest who crushed Brighton 7-0 at the City Ground in the Premier League in February as a result that ranked as the Seagulls' heaviest defeat for 67 years. Yesterday, it all pretty much the way it was planned, with Manchester City coming from behind to reach the FA Cup semi-finals with a 2-1 win over Bournemouth. But victory came at a cost as Erling Haaland had to hobble off injured. He also had a first-half penalty saved by the goalkeeper and put the Cherries in front through Evanson. The Norwegian made amends by equalising 4 minutes into the second half before being forced off with an ankle injury. His replacement, Omar Marmoush, took just 2 minutes to score the winner from a second assist by the impressive Nico O'Reilly, and some great changes at halftime by Pep Guardiola. Now, City will face Nottingham Forest in the last 4 after reaching the semi-finals for a record 7 consecutive season. Pep Guardiola said even FA Cup glory would not save a miserable season for the English champions, with this competition their final shot at winning a trophy. City's collapse in the Premier League began at Bournemouth back in November of last year with a 2-1 defeat that kicked off a run of 6 defeats in 8 games. Bournemouth were without 2 of their stars of a fine season as defender Dean Huyson and Milos Kerkez were suspended. Haaland should have punished the makeshift Cherries backline. But the other games at the weekend in the FA Cup saw Marcus Rashford get not his first, but his first and second goals at last for Aston Villa, as he has inspired them to a 3-0 win over Preston that sent his side into the FA Cup semi-finals for the first time in 10 years. Rashford struck twice in the second half at Deepdale to end Preston's stubborn resistance before Jacob Ramsey wrapped up Villa's long-awaited return to the last 4. Revitalised since joining Villa on loan from Manchester United during the January transfer window, Rashford is beginning to show the form that made him one of England's brightest stars prior to his steep decline over the last 2 years. Now, there's an interesting story that's going about. The last time Aston Villa made the semi-finals and then got through to the finals way back many centuries ago, Nottingham Forest actually went on in 1958 to win the FA Cup. So perhaps the stars are turning in Forest's favour. They, along with Crystal Palace, booked their place, Manchester City, as well in that semi-final. And of course, it's all Wembley this time for the 2 matches that are played there on the Saturday and the Sunday in the FA Cup. So great for the players to get an opportunity to get out onto that hallowed turf of Wembley when the semi-finals will be played. Crystal Palace against Aston Villa on Saturday, the 26th of April, and Sunday it'll be Forest against Manchester City. So 2 games over the weekend at Wembley before the final on the 17th of May. And that final will be on the 17th of May. Normally the first week in May, but of course, as the football seasons have got longer and longer, so the finals have got further and further away. Right, let's just go through some other footballing results while we are at it. Normally we do football at the end of the program, but tonight, once we're talking FA Cup, we might as well talk football results from the other leagues around the world. And the Betway Premiership in South Africa saw a goalless draw between SuperSport United and Cape Town City. TS Galaxy lost at home to Maruma Gallants by 2-1, while Polokwane City beat Richards Bay by 3-1. In the action in the Italian Serie A, Napoli 2, AC Milan 1, Inter Milan 2, Udinese 1, Fiorentina 1, Atlanta 0, and Cagliari 3, Monza 0. And in Spain, Real Betis 2, Seville 1, that's 2-1 to Betis, Valencia 1, Mallorca 0, Athletic Club 0, Osasuna 0, Barcelona 4, Girona 1, Getafe 1, Villarreal 2. So those were your results from the weekend as far as the Betway Premiership in South Africa is concerned. The table sees Sundowns, tell you about them in a moment. They top the table with 58 points. Pirates have 43 points, with Stellenbosch FC on 35 points. There are footballing matches tomorrow. The reason why Pirates and Sundowns are not in action is because tomorrow evening Sundowns host Esperance in the CAF Champions League, while Orlando Pirates go away to MCL. Yeah. Okay, lots of rugby over the weekend and some disappointing results in the rugby. If you look at South Africa's matches that they played, first of all, it was a very disappointing weekend for the South African Sevens side. Imagine being one of the best teams in the world. Can you imagine winning almost every single Sevens tournament and bronze at the Olympics? And you've never, ever won the Sevens tournaments in Hong Kong. That just doesn't make sense, does it? Argentina win the first Hong Kong Sevens to mark a new era when they outmuscled France 12-7 in the final to kick off a fresh era for the famous city's new stadium, $3.85 billion Kai Tak Stadium. The World Seven Series leaders defeated the Olympic champions. A new name was engraved on the venerable old trophy, first contested in 1976. Los Pumas extended their lead at the top of the men's World Rugby Sevens standings to 12 points over Fiji, with a third consecutive tournament win, adding Hong Kong to their Vancouver and Perth crowns. A magical moment for Argentinian coach Santiago Gomez Cora, who came to Hong Kong as a player in 2004 and suffered the agony of losing in the final to England. He said it was one of his dreams to win this one. After a scoreless first half, Argentina took advantage when France's Liam Delamare was sent to the sin bin for a high tackle. Santiago Alvarez bollocked over from a crash ball for the opening try, and less than a minute later, Marcus Moneta galloped through a tiring and depleted French defence, converting for a 12-0 lead, consolation score from the hooter for the French. Australia took the bronze, beating Fiji 22-21 in a third-place playoff that decided an absolute thriller by Sydney Harvey's try after full time. It was insane, said Harvey, who capitalised on James Turner's pass. The women's event saw New Zealand win in Hong Kong for the third year running, beating Australia 26-19 in the final, while Canada beat France 21-17 for bronze. Now, the Blitzboks Hong Kong curse hit hard this time. As a consequence, the Blitzboks' hopes of this year's HSBC World 7 Series have taken a massive blow. Fourth before the Hong Kong tournament, the Blitzboks struggled, as they always seem to do on the island, but not only did they give themselves a chance to get their first ever win in Hong Kong, but couldn't even qualify for the quarterfinals. They lost to Australia on Friday, needed to beat New Zealand on Saturday to get to the quarters, but lost 17-7. And the fact they couldn't get a bonus point meant that Ireland went through as the lucky loser, and South Africa was left with the best possible opportunity of 9th spot. And that is what they got. Right, let's go on to the 15-man game, shall we? Saturday saw the Glasgow Warriors, thump the Lions of South Africa, absolutely gave them a hiding, 42-0. Benetton, a single-point victory over Cardiff by 20 points to 19. What a shocker for the Sharks at home to a understrength Leinster side. They lost 10-7 at home. They should have been 21-0 up in 10 minutes of that game, but they made some really difficult and different choices, opportunities to kick penalties, and they lost. Yeah, they lost 10-7. Opportunity for the Sharks to have cemented their place in the top four. They lost to Leinster. Lefty Scarlets 28, Ospreys 22, Connacht 24, Munster 30, and the Bulls a big win against Zebre, 63 points to 24. And on Friday evening, also a missed opportunity, big time missed opportunity by the Stormers, who was 17 points up. Within 20 minutes of the first half, they ended up losing 38-34 in Ulster to Ulster, and then Edinburgh 38, the Dragons 5. So the table, well, it looks like this as far as the United Rugby Championship is concerned. Leinster way out in front still, 9-point advantage over the second place Glasgow Warriors, who have a 4-point advantage now over the Bulls, who have a 1-point advantage over the Sharks, while Cardiff are up into 5th place with 35 points, Munster 34, Ospreys 33, and the Stormers also on 33 points, thanks to the bonus point they managed to salvage out of the game on the weekend. Ulster in 9th with 32, Benetton 32, Edinburgh 31, Connaught 31, the Lions 30. So all the way down to 13th place. There, of course, are opportunities for those sides to make it into the top 8. This Friday, the Sharks are on a plane off to Scotland, where they'll play Edinburgh. And then on Saturday, the Lions on their way home. They must really pass the Sharks in the air. Lions against Benetton at 1:45 at Ellis Park. Ospreys against Cardiff at 4 o'clock. Stormers on a 4-match home run now against Connaught. The Dragons play Llanelli Scarlets. Leinster play Ulster. And Zebra play the Warriors. It should be a crackerjack weekend of rugby. But that rugby is only on the 18th, those fixtures, the 18th and 19th, because as far as the rugby fixtures are concerned, they are back in the EPCR Challenge Cup, and the EPCR is the European competition. Edinburgh will host the Lions, Section Palois host Bath, Northampton Saints in the Champions Cup play Clermont. And then on Saturday, Bayonne play the Bulls. Bulls away from home. Montpellier play Gloucester. Papillon play Racing 92. Connaught play Cardiff. In the Champions Cup, it's Toulon versus Saracens. Leinster against Harlequins. Castres Olympique against Benetton. La Rochelle, Munster, and Glasgow Warriors, Leicester. And then on Sunday, the Union Bordeaux Beagles play Ulster, Stade Toulousain play the Sale Sharks. And in the Challenge Cup, it's Lyon against the Sharks of Durban and Ospreys against Llanelli. That is the fixtures coming up in the first weekend of April. So all of that as far as rugby is concerned. Tennis news, and what a big surprise over the weekend. Czech teenager Jakub Mensik last night beat Novak Djokovic 7-6, 7-6 to win the Miami Open at the Hard Rock Stadium, defying the Serb his 100th career title. The 19-year-old, ranked 54th in the world, claimed his first title on the ATP Tour with an outstanding display of powerful tennis. The final was delayed by almost 6 hours due to heavy rain, and when the players emerged, it was clear that Djokovic had an eye infection. He used eye drops during a changeover in the first set, but Mensik started strongly, breaking Djokovic's first service game to go 2-0 up, and the tall, big serving Czech was dominating until a 4-2 Djokovic broke back when Mensik found the net. But how's this? Unbelievable. The student becomes the Masters champion the moment Jakub Mensik completed a 7-6, 7-6 victory over Novak Djokovic. To be honest, I didn't know what to say. It feels incredible. That's the words after the victory and the on-court interview. It was probably the biggest day in his life, and he did super, which he's really glad about, to show the performance and keep the nerves outside the court before the match. I feel happy. I think the feelings will come later. He had no secret in the fact that he grew up with Djokovic as his idol, and after receiving the trophy, said he started his career in the hope of emulating the great Novak Djokovic. Now, as far as the ladies' event is concerned, Aryna Sabalenka, the world number one, won her second title of the season, beating Jessica Pegula in straight sets. The Belarusian redeemed her Indian Wells defeat by teenager Mira Andreeva. The 26-year-old Sabalenka has now won 8 WTA 1000 titles. She won 7-5, 6-2. The title was the Belarusian's first in Miami and a second following the January triumph in Brisbane. Having lost the final at Indian Wells, Sabalenka was determined not to fall at the final hurdle this time. Both players did struggle to hold their serve in the first set. We saw breaks of serve, which Pegula causing Sabalenka some trouble when she brought her to the net, but it was plain sailing pretty much from there onwards for the Belarusian. Aryna Sabalenka is the champion, and well done to her as well. So the tennis players will now be moving on. The schedule for the ATP and the WTA as it moves towards the clay court season. That, of course, is what is coming up next as far as the majors are concerned, the French Open. So that is what we have to look forward to. 2. You're listening to the edition of From the Boardroom to the Locker Room. We'll have more for you after these.
Hey, Unique Tribe. I'm thrilled to announce that our upcoming episode 68 drops on April 6, 2025.
This episode, we are diving deep into a topic that resonates with many of us, trauma and its impact on our behaviors. We will explore how complex trauma, characterized by ongoing, repeated trauma during childhood, can lead to avoidance in our adult lives.
Whether you've experienced this personally or know someone who has, this episode will shed light on the often. Tune in on April 6, 2025. You can listen on all major platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcast, www.uniqueyetconnected.com, and more. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share with friends and family.
Hi, I'm Louis Karpas. Join me on the next edition of From the Boardroom to the Locker Room when we talk to Prinalan Subrayen and Quinton Friend, the captain and coach of the triumphant Dolphins cricket team. That's on the next edition of From the Boardroom to the Locker Room. Now, well done in the golf with Australia's Min Woo Lee holding off a final day charge from world number 1 Scotty Scheffler to clinch his first PGA Tour title, a one-shot victory at the Houston Open. Lee, who had opened up a 4-stroke lead with a dazzling 63 in Saturday's third round, carded a closing 3 under 67 to finish on 20 under par at Memorial. The 26-year-old from Perth withstood ferocious pressure down the stretch from Scheffler, who posted a 63 to finish tied for second alongside Gary Woodland. Lee has won 4 times on the European and Asian tours and had looked to be cruising to victory after going bogey 3 through 15 holes to lead by 3 shots with 3 to play. But after a flawless round to that point, he wobbled on the par 5 16th to hit his tee shot into the water, salvaging a bogey. Scheffler, playing in the group immediately ahead of Lee, had meanwhile missed an eagle putt on the 16th that would have given him a share of the lead. Instead, the 2-time major champion settled for a birdie to move within 1 of the Australian with 2 holes remaining. Woodland, meanwhile, had entered the equation with a scintillating 8 under par 62, equaling the course record which Scheffler had matched in Friday's second round. So well done to Min Woo Lee. A great performance on the tour by him. Now, as far as the DP World Tour is concerned, it was victory for Spain's Eugenio Chatarra. He overcame a rocky start and clinched the Hero Indian Open by 2 strokes, his maiden DP World Tour title. The 25-year-old came into the final round as the overnight leader, but slipped after carding a double bogey on the first and a bogey on the third. But a burst of birdies on the 6th, 9th, 11th, 12th, and 14th holes saw him bounce back to open up a 4-shot lead. Finished on 4 under par, 2 shots clear of Japan's Keita Nakajima, who won the title last year. In second place, Joost Luiten of Netherlands was another stroke back in third. Chakara survived the late scare on the 17th when he found himself near the long grass, but he escaped with just a bogey. He closed his round with a par for a comfortable win in the end as he raised his hand to a cheering crowd. Absolutely brilliant performance by him. And he, of course, now victorious on the DP World Tour. So the schedule now, as we, of course, head toward the Masters. They're all at the Valero Texas Open, or most of them are anyway, this weekend, starting on the 3rd. The action at the Masters a week or so from now, just over a week away. The 10th of April is the start of the Masters at the Augusta National Golf Club in Georgia. The Valero Texas Open this week, and then the Sunshine Tour qualifying school final stages take place at the Heronbanks Golf and River Estate as the Vusi Ngubeni tournament in Soweto gets underway in just over a week's time from now. So lots and lots of golf, lots of action as well at the moment. There is a tournament on as we speak, the Sunshine Development Tour qualifying school, and that is taking place at the moment. They, of course, are playing at the Great Rift Valley Lodge and Golf Resort in Naivasha. That is in Kenya. So lots and lots of Kenyans trying to qualify to play on the Sunshine Tour in South Africa. Right, let's have a look at cricket, of which there was quite a lot over the weekend. Let's start off with the matches yesterday. The Rajasthan Royals against the Chennai Super Kings. Well, the Rajasthan Royals batted first, got 182 for 9 in their 20 overs, and that was thanks to Nitish Rana's 81, a sparkling innings of just 36 deliveries, spearheaded his side to 182 for 9 in 20 overs. Chennai Super Kings came in to bat after that. Mahendra Singh Dhoni couldn't help them in the end. Unfortunately, they stumbled after getting off to a poor start, losing Rachinder Ravindra early, but then a very fine partnership in a very short space of time got them up to 46 for 2 off 7, 72 for 3 off 9, and then the chase just seemed to be a little bit too much, although Mahendra Singh Dhoni did, of course, give them a glimmer of hope going into the last over. But what I will say is, this man is a god. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, he came out to bat yesterday, and every single person in that stadium just went completely crazy. He is an absolute god, and long may he continue to play, because he is such a fantastic entertainer, and his ability behind the stumps looks like he's 22 years old again. Incredible stuff. Absolutely incredible stuff. And then in the other game yesterday, the Delhi Capitals against the Sunrisers Hyderabad. Well, the Delhi Capitals won that one. Going away, the Sunrisers Hyderabad, thanks to 74 from Verma, 32 off 19 from Heinrich Klaassen, 22 off 12 from Travis Head. But unfortunately, nobody else really put their hand up in that one. They got 166 for 3, and then Delhi Capitals, so 166 for 3, chasing that Sunrisers Hyderabad, 163 for victory. Thanks once again, Francois Faf du Plessis, he does not age. 50 of 27 deliveries, with Jake Fraser McGurk 38 of 32 holding the ship together. Perel got 34 of 18, and they knocked the runs off relatively easily. 16 overs is all they needed. Loss of 3 wickets to win by 7 wickets. And then on Saturday, it was the Titans against the Mumbai Indians. Big win for the Gujarat Titans. Batting first, 63 for Sudarshan. Gill got 38, Butler 39, and then the Mumbai Indians, 39 from Varma, 48 from Yadav, and nobody else really got any runs there. Mitchell Satner got 18 off 9 at the end. Not good enough. The Gujarat Titans winning by 36 runs. So good performance there by the Gujarat Titans. Locally, it was the Cricket South Africa 4-day series, the Lions and the Dolphins. That game, a lot of rain around. It was drawn. The Dolphins batting first, scored 357. Sepeng Detole, 157. Great knock by him. And then the Lions, 250 for 2, 130 for Joshua Richards, and Zubrai Hamza, 62. That match was drawn, as was the game between the Dragons and the Titans. Okay, so let's move on now to the Dragons, as I mentioned, of course, against the Multiply Titans. 97 for Matthew Kleinfeld, 84 for Vihan Libber, and Ruan de Swart got 20. Bamanya Klenke, 51. Massive 345. The Titans in reply, well, Gerard Brevis, 148 of 155. Keegan Peterson, 112 of 178. Luandre Pretorius, 58 off 80. And Neil Brunt, 82 not out of 104. 463 for 9. The Dragons then batted again, 189 for 1. Lesiba Ngupe, 84. Reinhard van Tonder, 59. Both not out, and match drawn there as well. And Western Province against Boerland, also match drawn. Western Province in their first innings, 141 from Tony de Zorzi, 131 from Kyle Verreynne. Brilliant between the two of them. 91 from George Linder. Boerland, Peter Malan got 102. Clyde Fortuin got 120. Western Province came into bat again, 44 for Edward Moore, David Beddingham, 43 not out, and that match drawn as well. And then the fixtures for the week. Well, let's have a look ahead. It's the Mumbai Indians against the Kolkata Knight Riders this afternoon. Tomorrow, it's the Lucknow Super Giants against the Punjab Kings. Wednesday, it's New Zealand against Pakistan in the second one-day international. Australia A against England A in a one-day match for the women. And the Royal Challengers Bengaluru play the Gujarat Titans. And then the Cricket South Africa's 4-day series final. The Tuskers against the Northern Cape Heat starts on Wednesday. And on Thursday, it's the Warriors against the Dolphins, the Knights against the Lions, the Titans against Boerland, and the Dragons against Western Province. So that is your cricket for the weekend. And then, as we spoke to Glenrose Xaba on Thursday of last week for the Women's Challenge at Spar, Well, congratulations to her in a time of 33 minutes, 13 seconds, 5 seconds ahead of Salam Gebrey of Ethiopia. She took the win again. Karabo Malulu, Kasila Sosibo, Lebo Pupolula, and Karobi More, all of South Africa taking the other 5 places. And well done to Glenrose Xaba. Shows you we talk to winners here on From the Boardroom to the Locker Room. Now, there's some interesting footballing action coming up as the weekend is concerned. We'll just touch on that in a moment. But before we go, it was motorsport on 2 wheels over the weekend. Francesco Bagnaia hailed, in his words, a fantastic win in an eventful Grand Prix of the Americas to end crash victor Marc Marquez's perfect start to the Moto GP season. The 6-time elite class world champion Marquez was set fair to make it 6 wins out of 6 in Texas after romping to victories in the sprints and the main race in Thailand, Argentina, and Saturday sprint in Austin, but a crash on lap 9 did it for the Spanish superstar, gifting victory to his Ducati factory teammate. Alex Marquez on a Ducati satellite bike took second for the 6th time to move 1 point clear of his older brother in the rider standings, Fabio Di Gianantonio. Another Ducati satellite machine came in third at the Circuit of the Americas under a wide-brimmed Texan hat, but I beamed, "I'm super happy. I've lost my voice," I screamed out so loud during the last lap. And finally, fixtures, footballing fixtures for this week. Going to be great. It all starts tomorrow evening. Remember, if you're in Southern Africa, the clocks have moved in Europe, which means matches in South Africa and Southern Africa are an hour earlier for us here. So 9:15 kickoffs, not 10:45 or 10 o'clock anymore. 9:45 sees Arsenal against Fulham in a London derby, Wolves against West Ham, and then at 9 o'clock tomorrow evening, perhaps on Wednesday, there might not be so much banter between Nick and myself. Nottingham Forest play Manchester United, and Nottingham Forest will be delighted to host Manchester United with the form that they're in. Manchester United will go to the City Ground wondering if they can perhaps salvage some points or out of that game and leave without losing. On Wednesday, Bournemouth play Ipswich, 9:45 as well. Brighton against Villa, Manchester City against Leicester, Newcastle against Brentford, and Southampton against Palace. While the big game of the week, undoubtedly for Liverpool and Everton fans, is the derby between Liverpool and Everton. And then on Thursday evening, it's the other derby, the big one in London, when Chelsea take on Spurs. Big week ahead for the Premier League sides. Lots of catch-up to do. The table looks like this. Liverpool top the table with by 12 points from Arsenal. Forest in third, 5 points ahead of Chelsea. Manchester City a further point behind Chelsea, and Newcastle a point behind them, with Brighton also there on 47. Bottom of the table, we've all been saying it, Leicester City, Ipswich and Wolves are the 3 teams battling it out for 2 places to go down. Southampton, unfortunately, their season is not going so well. 9 points from 29 games. They will be relegated. I can't see even a miracle saving them. That is tonight's edition of From the Boardroom to the Locker Room. More from us throughout the week. Until then, be nice to each other and bye for now.